The investigation into the attack on our Capitol, the attempt to overturn our election, is about to ramp up with subpoenas from the Select Committee expected within a week. They appear to be prepared for pushback. Adam Schiff telling NBC News, in some cases, we're making requests where we think they'll be complied with. In other cases, we're going straight to subpoenas where we think we're dealing with recalcitrant parties. Well, with us tonight to talk about it, Juanita Tolliver, a veteran political strategist to progressive candidates and causes, and Stuart Stevens, veteran of the Mitt Romney and George W. Bush presidential efforts. He's now with the Lincoln Project. His latest book, it's important, is It Was All a Lie, How the Republican Party Became Donald Trump. Well, good evening and welcome to you both. And Stuart, with your past in your party and in politics in mind, do you agree with Liz Cheney, who just this week said that there may not have been any more important congressional investigation than the one underway right now?
Yeah, 100%. Look, this was an attempt to overthrow the peaceful transition of power, which is the essence of democracy. The key element of democracy is someone has to be willing to lose. And Republicans have decided that they're for democracy when they win and they're not for it when they lose. It means they're not for democracy. If you let this slide, if you don't get to the truth, if you don't hold people accountable, it's a cancer and it will eat at our democracy. And I think John Meekin was absolutely right about the grave state that democracy is hanging. Republicans had a chance to hold Trump responsible, and they didn't. And I think it's a moment like the Munich Accord, though Chamberlain was a much more well-intentioned person. But the ramifications of it are stunning. They have to get to the truth.
Do you agree with John's sense of urgency, Stuart?
Yeah, I think John might even be an optimist here. The Republican Party is an actively anti-democratic, autocratic force in America. And it blows my mind I'm saying that after all the years I worked in the party, but those are the stone cold facts. I mean, John laid it out. The official position of the Republican Party is that Donald Trump was the legally elected president, which means we don't have a legally elected president, which means we don't live in a democracy, which means we're in an occupied country. And as John pointed out, the last time that happened was around 1860. And how'd that work out? I think that we all have this great desire for normalcy now. We have a normal president. Things sort of look normal. But if we allow ourselves to think that this moment is normal, it's going to be catastrophic. Because the people who are autocrats in this country, they're organized, they're patient, they're not stupid. They have these buffoonish characters out front, but they're not buffoonish. And they think they're going to win. And if we don't fight them, if we don't come together and put aside these purity tests, and Democrats have to really challenge themselves here. This is a character test for Democrats. Republicans failed their character test. But Democrats have to be willing to come together and put aside differences and fight for democracy, because they're really the last best hope we have here.
Juanita, I've never heard a setup any better for a question to you about whether Democrats can put purity testing aside. We saw it again today. We'll see it tomorrow. Are they up for the fight as described by John and Stuart?
I think they're already demonstrating that they alone are up for the fight, especially in the halls of Congress, where you had both McCarthy and McConnell vote against a commission that was negotiated within their own Republican conference to get to the truth of what happened on January 6th. And so Democrats and Speaker Pelosi took it upon herself to launch a selects committee, right? Like, they're already doing that. I think what comes next, though, is critical to the success of what we can discover in the selects committee. And that's why Representative Schiff already said we're jumping straight to subpoenas, because we're not trying to waste time with people who will be resistant to abiding by or responding to the subpoenas. And Schiff knows what he's talking about based on the response he got to subpoenas issued in previous impeachment trials, where Trump administration officials just ignored it, essentially. And so now with this White House, with this DOJ that are already encouraging Trump officials to cooperate with congressional inquiries. Hopefully we get somewhere. And as Chairman Thompson said, this is about getting to not only the truth of January 6th, but making sure it never happens again. I think you mentioned it briefly, Brian. The FBI has said there's been a massive increase in the number of domestic terrorist threats, let's be real, that stem from white supremacist themes that were on display on January 6th. And I don't see that going in the box anytime soon, because these are folks emboldened by Trump, rallied by Trump, and encouraged by Trump to attack the Capitol that day, but to continue to make threats against our democracy and our country every other day.